that everyone got anti-vax out of hate. The idea that I didn't get vaccinated out of hate, I find so ridiculous. Like, I don't hate anyone. I am a loving person. I do it on purpose. I go out of my way to be as charitable and as kind as possible. And when I don't, I feel very disappointed in myself. If I make any decision or a statement that I feel like doesn't align with that, maybe flippantly in the moment, maybe joking around, I'm very disappointed in myself. I'm very self-critical. When I see something like that, I'm like, that is ideological capture at its highest level. Because put that back up again. So what you're seeing, one of the things that she's realizing here is that there is a narrative. And one of the narratives is the vaccine might be bad for you. So she's saying, even if it turns out I injected actual poison, the idea that you wouldn't be upset that you were duped into injecting actual poison when you were thinking that this was somehow going to save people and save the world is so insane that wouldn't bother you. But you are uncharitably categorizing all people who are hesitant and getting an experimental medical intervention that's never been tried on mass amounts of human beings in human history, and that there's no long-term data to suggest anything. Safety, dangers, risks, and also, if she's a doctor, a medical doctor, she should know about the VAERS system. And she should know that although there are people that report things that turn out to not be correct, there's a very low number of vaccine injuries that get reported in respect to the actual number of vaccine injuries that take place. And in the past, that number has been estimated with previous diseases to be in the neighborhood of 1%. So for every 100 people that has a vaccine injury, one of them gets reported into the VAERS system. I don't know what the number is with SARS, CoV-2. I don't think anyone knows, because we hear stories. I mean, it's so anecdotal. I hesitate to even discuss it. I know this guy and he had a stroke and they knew it because of the vaccine, but the doctors wouldn't put that in the VAERS system and they refused to put it in the VAERS system. You hear about all these stories. And then you hear about financial incentives that were in place to not just say that someone died from COVID, but that different financial incentives were in place to use certain protocols, medical protocols and treatments. So they were financially incentivized to use certain things, certain medications. And then if the person was treated, if the person was ventilated, there's more financial incentives. Remdesivir, there's different things there was financial incentives in private hospitals. So these are businesses, and these businesses run, a lot of them, it's a very precarious business. They're not necessarily always making money. And this woman's take on this is it's in my opinion, is this perfect encapsulation of this ideological capture that you see on social media, particularly on social media. Because if you do say something on social media, even if it's correct about something like the pandemic, something very controversial, the sheer amount of people that are commenting on it, you're going to get a certain amount of them that are going to be very hateful and angry at your perspective because it doesn't align with their perspective. And if you say in a virtuous way, I got myocarditis from the vaccine, but I would do it again. And there's a lot of people that say that. I've seen a lot of people say, I have a heart condition now because of this COVID vaccine, but that is a rare and unusual occurrence. I took the chance. I knew that there was a slight possibility, and I am one of the unlucky ones. But I would encourage people to get vaccinated. This is also ideological capture. So you see that too. You see people say that too, and they say it to virtue signal. And they say it because people say, you are one of the good people. You did the right thing. You did your part. And then there's other people like Bill Maher who say, hey, I did the right thing. I did this because it was the right thing to do. I did my part. And now I'm realizing I've kind of been hosed. And you haven't given me all the data. And then when you examine the original data that came out about the vaccine that proved that it was safe and effective, you realize, well, hey, that wasn't good either. That data was not good. Not only was that data not good, but it's probably manipulated in a way that would encourage people to think that this is safer than it actually is and more effective than it actually is, and does things that haven't been proven. Like when all of the media was saying that it will stop the infections from happening. You will never get COVID if you take these vaccines. We saw that with the CDC. We saw that with Rachel Maddow. We saw that with all these people that came on television with no evidence, not only no evidence that it stops it, but now we know because one of the main executives at Pfizer who had to testify, was it to the European Parliament? Was that what it was? Where that woman was asked, did you test this to see if it stops infection and transmission?
She laughed.
She said no.
Yeah.
Did she laugh?
She did. She did.
Well, she said no, though.
She did. She definitely did.
So all those people that were saying, when Biden was on television saying, you take these vaccines, you don't get COVID. And then he got COVID twice.
Yeah.
Like all these people that said that were doing the dirty work of these corporations that had either willingly or unwillingly or unwittingly, I should say wittingly or knowingly or unknowingly, promoted this untruth.